Coming this fall from SJS Direct, Easting the Sands of Time. It's action, adventure, and romance in ancient Egypt in this fantasy flashback Easting series adventure. Pre-order Easting the Sands of Time today on Amazon.com. When it comes down to the meltdown that Serena Williams participated in at the 2018 US Open, many people are getting caught up in their emotions and buying into the argument that Serena Williams has talking about gender bias. And when you take a critical and objective look at the situation regarding Serena Williams' meltdown, you can clearly see that there was no gender bias at all. Here we have one black woman playing tennis against a biracial black woman, and Serena Williams, the black woman, is having this meltdown because she's not going to be able to beat this Naomi Osaka, who is 16 years her junior. And when she looks across that tennis court at Naomi Osaka, what really upsets her isn't just getting beat, it's the fact that she knows that she will be replaced by your Naomi Osaka. Now, when it comes down to many of these women out here, they want to remain in the spotlight. And many women believe that they are still as young, beautiful, and attractive and as they were when they were younger. Now, the 36-year-old Serena Williams in the world of tennis would be considered an extremely old player because at 36 years old, that's usually an age where many people in the world of tennis have retired and they've gone on to go work in either the broadcast booth where they're making commentary on the game, or they are being highly paid coaches who train other young players to become future superstars. But because your Serena Williams is a diva and enjoys the spotlight, she still believes that she still is as strong a player as she was back in the late 1990s when she and her sister Venus entered the scene, and she still believes that she can still be a superstar player on the same level that she was in the late 1990s, even though she is 36 years old and has just had a child. And many tennis players who have had children, like Kim Clijsters, they just weren't the same after they had that child. But when it comes down to your Serena Williams, because she is so addicted to the spotlight, she still believes that she can still be the same superstar player that can compete with younger players like Naomi Osaka. And I believe the reason why she had that meltdown and ranted against that line judge is because she was angry at herself. And when she looked across that field at that Naomi Osaka, she saw that there was a twilight coming for her career. Because your Naomi Osaka was outplaying your Serena Williams, and even her coach knew this, so that's why he was making those hand gestures in the box. However, the line judge caught her and caught him, and this is where we had your Serena blowing up because her whole career was blowing up right in front of us all. And this is why we have this deflection from Serena Williams where she goes into the shaming language, talking about she's a mother, she has a daughter. Again, this is shaming language to shame the judge, and this whole thing about being a woman was about shaming the judge, so he would not judge her fairly and objectively in that match. However, as she continued to have the meltdown, she continued to cost herself more and eventually wound up costing herself the match and then putting a stain on that match by making it where Naomi Osaka could not have her defining moment, because this was all about Serena continuing to remain in the spotlight and shifting the light from Naomi Osaka, the promising young tennis star, over to Serena Williams, the old, faded star. And she did a great job of manipulating the crowd and manipulating public opinion by playing the gender card and trying to play the victim card in this situation. Because when I look at the situation, this was all about preventing Naomi Osaka from having that defining moment where we see her defeat Serena Williams on a major stage of a Grand Slam. Because with this U.S. Open victory, that would have literally laid the foundation for the start of the era of Naomi Osaka. And that's what Serena Williams was deliberate in doing, trying to take that spotlight away from Naomi Osaka, take away Naomi Osaka's ability to be a successful tennis star, and take away Naomi Osaka's opportunity to become a superstar. Because with that victory, what would have happened, your Naomi Osaka would have been seen by the world of tennis as the next big superstar, and it would have symbolized the passing of the torch, because the U.S. Open is the last tennis event of the year, the last major of the year, and with it being the last Grand Slam event, this would have symbolized the end of Serena Williams' career, and it would have symbolized the beginning of Naomi Osaka's career. But because your Serena Williams is a selfish, narcissistic female, she couldn't stand someone else having the spotlight, and she couldn't stand having an opportunity to go out of her way to sabotage this woman, because that's what she did. She sabotaged Naomi Osaka's opportunity to become the next big superstar, and I believe she did this out of jealousy because she saw this biracial black woman getting ready to take her spot, and she wanted to keep that spot all for herself. Now, she'll sit there and talk about gender bias, but again, this argument just doesn't wash, because when I look at the whole situation, you have a black woman playing against a biracial woman, you have a Hispanic judge. So where is this so-called sexism and where is this so-called racism? It just doesn't add up here. But what adds up logically for me is the fact that we have a 36-year-old woman, a tennis player past her prime, a tennis player in the twilight of her career, a tennis player who just doesn't want to admit that the end is here. And because she didn't want to admit the end was here, she went out of her way to sabotage a promising young player's attempt to get the spotlight, deny her her victory, and deny her her defining moment. Because all of those people booing Naomi Osaka, they fell for Serena Williams' okie doke, and they didn't understand that this was supposed to be Naomi's moment. This was supposed to be her time to shine. But because this old woman refused to acknowledge the fact that her career was on its end, she destroyed this woman's chance to become that next big tennis superstar. And this is no different than what many of these old women, as part of the Me Too movement, are doing right now. They want to try to tear everything down for younger women because they no longer have those opportunities that they had when they were younger, and they wanted to have misery join them in their company. And Serena Williams wanted Naomi Osaka to be just as miserable in her company, so that's why she made efforts to tear down her Naomi Osaka in her defining moment, in her great victory. And again, that just shows you how selfish and narcissistic she was. Because when it comes down to this Serena Williams, she didn't understand that when she did this, she not only did prevented Naomi Osaka from having her great moment, but she also reinforced the idea and point in many people's minds about the angry black woman. Because when it comes down to the angry black woman, when she can't get her way, this is when she will start throwing tantrums, and she will try to make everybody suffer because she is suffering. And this is why people just don't like the whole angry black woman thing. And this is why I can see where the angry black woman argument comes into play, because here we have Serena Williams. She can't win, so she's going to make it where nobody can win. And she's going to bring her misery in. And sadly, everybody got manipulated into believing that Serena Williams was right, when clearly your Serena Williams was wrong. It was wrong for her to take away from Naomi Osaka's moment. It was wrong for her to throw this tantrum and make herself out to be a victim. And it was wrong for her to go out here and act a fool on a national stage when she knew she was being outmatched. She knew as a tennis player she was 36 years old. She knew that she was a bit as a mother. She knew everything was headed towards the twilight of her career. And instead of accepting that things were changing for her, she decided to try to bully people into believing she was a victim. And that's no different than many of these angry black women out here who participate in the exact same behavior when they can't get their way. And what's really embarrassing about this whole situation is we had this done on a world stage, and what it did was it breathed brand new life into old stereotypes regarding black women. And your Serena Williams, she's shocked that all these people have walked away from her, but they would have walked away from her anyway because, again, your Serena Williams, this was the twilight of her career. She was going to transition into a new stage in her career. Her whole career was getting ready to end, but because she didn't want to leave the stage, she wound up participating in this embarrassing scene. And this embarrassing scene, again, it made all black women look bad because it breathed brand new life into the old stereotype of the angry, bitter black woman who, when she can't get her way, she's going to make everyone pay. And many people in the comment section of my previous video on Serena Williams, they have also gone into deflecting and justifying her behavior when there is no justification you can give for Serena Williams' behavior. I didn't see any sort of gender bias in this situation. I didn't see any sort of racial connotations. All I saw was an old black woman who was upset that she was going to be replaced by a younger black woman, no different than many of these old, faded former side pieces and casting couch women and women like Rose McGowan, who were upset that in their late 30s and early 40s, they are being replaced by a new crop of females. And that's why they wanted to talk about Me Too and all of these other allegations when it's all about them knowing that their time is up and that they have to come up with a new way to make a living. And Serena Williams just doesn't understand that there is a lot of promise for her in the broadcast booth, as a commentator. There's a lot of promise as a coach to a young phenom, and that this twilight of her career on the tennis court does not mean that her career is over. It just means that her career is going in a completely different direction. But because your Serena Williams just doesn't want to leave the spotlight, this is why she started acting like a diva. And because she acted like a diva, many people fell for her game. But take a critical and objective look at your Serena Williams, it was just her deflecting from the fact that she has gotten old, that she is out of a spotlight, and her career is just about to be over. And that's the reason why she threw that tantrum at the U.S. Open, because with this being the last event of the year, she knew that this would be her last chance at any sort of Open or Grand Slam title, because at 37 years old, she's not going to be able to do it next year because she lost all 4 major Grand Slams, and next year she may not even rank next year because as you get older, your body is not the same, and after having a baby, your Serena Williams just isn't the same. And what's really sad is that she could have used this U.S. Open as an opportunity to pass the torch. She could have announced her retirement, and she could have had one great final match where she could have had that great moment in the spotlight, but because it was all about her ego and her being the one on top, she wound up trying to make everyone miserable in her company, and she sabotaged Naomi Osaka's chance to take herself to the next level. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.